Welcome back to another Jazz basketball breakdown. Rough second half against the Lakers tonight. We allowed Rui Hashimura to just kill us tonight off of wide open shot after wide open shot.
A lot of them were, right? And then good players get in a rhythm, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah,
the good defensive players get on him, and he's still hitting shots and grinning ear to ear. Good for him. I like Rui. He's a good player.
he's a guy I was interested in for a long time with the Jazz. So, yeah.
Yeah, he fun player to watch, and he was at his career high. So we, as you said, how did you word it? We have a tendency to
I don't even remember.
get players into a rhythm.
Yeah,
I believe is what it
we
was.
do a great job. We
Yeah.
do a great job at getting opponents' players into a good rhythm.
Right. Our entire team now is good neighbors.
Yes,
We're polite.
and you wonder, right? The game like this, you wonder, is it game plan to have John Collins suck down so bad, or is he just freaking not fully closing? Because the amount of times, but even like when he wouldn't slide in, the amount of times that John Collins allowed to just stand, 4 feet off of Hashimura and just kind of let him set shot and then kind of contest it.
There were a couple of times standing there flat-footed. There's no question.
Yeah.
There were a handful of times, too, that he tried to kind of hedge in from that opposite side after one of our guards were late getting around a screen. But the angle that he takes, and he goes too far in, it almost seems like, I don't know how much of that is coached and how detailed we're getting in on it. There's other things that I wonder about coaching, too. Simple pick and rolls when we actually don't just casually, switch for them and make it easy, is our guard doesn't keep the same angle compared to the screener. And so the drop man, they're not necessarily a drop defense, but the bigger man doesn't know where exactly to play and has to constantly change. Top pick and roll defenses, you'll see that as they kind of get screened, they still keep the same angle, and then there's a moment that they close and retake the position, and the other guy goes back to him. I mean, Agbaji and Kessler used to do this pretty seamlessly, quite nicely.
Yeah.
Our guards now that are left, they'll kind of keep a little bit of an angle on defense, and then they'll change it and switch it up, and it kills the other player on defense. Right. And basically it ends up we're guarding neither of them.
And a great example of kind of what Sean's talking about there is watch the way Chris Dunn a lot of times handles screens. The way as the screen hits, right before it hits, he kind of slides up, takes the body, and then is able to move with the guy. And then our big man just has to slightly hedge, go back. It's a really easy.
And not only does he retake the defender, a lot of times he steals it when he does it.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I thought Keyonte actually had a stretch where he did that really good. Him and D'Angelo Russell going back and forth and consecutively working through that and everything like that. Where
I love
defense
that
is obviously something where he needs to struggle. He struggles. He needs to get better at. This game felt like a good step forward defensively for him. He almost seemed like he took it a little personal about D'Angelo Russell going off on us last time.
Could be.
And really attacked that matchup. And D'Angelo Russell, it wasn't like he was getting whatever he wanted on Keyonte George tonight. Keyonte George took him out of his rhythm several times, bumped him off the position several times. This was a much better game for Keyonte overall defensively. He still had his rookie moments and lazy moments, but overall, very good step forward defensively from him.
And what we want to see out of him and out of Taylor Hendricks, and there were some comments after the last video about how poorly they look and should go back to the G League. I don't necessarily agree with that. What we want to see out of them is take up the fight on defense or on the offensive move to rotation. With Keyonte, it's more he needs to get better on defense. Hendricks still has some moments of unawareness, but man, he's unbelievably raw and talented with that athleticism on defense.
Yeah.
Just take up the fight and try and get better game to game and try and just make little steps as you're going along. It felt like Keyonte did that this game.
100%.
And that's what we want to see. And it doesn't mean that he's going to shut down some players, but that stretch with him and D'Angelo Russell going back and forth and Keyonte getting into the ref and talking and then getting the call the next time and, clapping it up. That's what we want to see.
Bates the call.
He completely made the ref feel a little bit bad about making a bad call. Got the call back his way the next time. Care enough to put into that work and that effort, because with Keyonte, we know that the offensive side is there, and he'll be able to explode. And especially when it gets late in the game, you made the comment that seems like fourth quarter.
His numbers his percentages shoot way up. That dude, it seems like he doesn't miss in the fourth. He as he's gotten more and more confident and comfortable with this team, it's just like big time stretches will hit, fourth quarter will hit, clutch moments, and all of a sudden he's just got that cold-blooded, no fear personality, and which is very good in a leader. So tonight was really cool. We saw a lot of sideline
that was very cool.
Audio with Keyonte George on and off the court, and really got to see as a rookie his leadership. That's not common. That is not common to see a rookie being the one who's first up and talking with the guys and going to the other rookies and working with them. Hey, keep your head up. This is what they're going to be looking at. Be ready for this shot. Be ready for this spot and things like that. Did that several times with Hendricks, and you can see he's working a lot with Hendricks. And you got to feel like Hendricks missed his first 3 or 4 3-pointers tonight. Keyonte goes up and basically talks to him about they're going to sag way off you. You need to be ready to shoot. Keep shooting. Works with him a little bit. Comes down, swings it to him. He hits that. There's a lot of times if that conversation doesn't happen with Keyonte and Taylor Hendricks, Hendricks is still feeling the other shots, feeling the pressure from missing those shots. He goes down and misses that wide open corner 3. A lot of that goes to your leader and your voice talking to those guys and working through those kinds of things. Really cool to see tonight.
I love that they mic'd him up. That was interesting. That surprised me a little bit, that he's talking that much. And this is at a point where, I mean, it's obvious, folks. Some of the members of the team are hanging their head. Look at Laurie after the game.
I don't think I've ever seen Lowry that frustrated, head down after a game.
That's pretty telling. And we weren't necessarily the biggest fans of the trades that went down. You're kind of more wait and see. I've recently been called a damn robot by you, I believe was the exact quote. But I'm a little bit more emotional on this one and pissed off than I normally am on things on the trades. But it's definitely affected the team.
I'm pretty sure my dad said that.
No, you were asking me about your dad's book and what I thought about it.
Oh, okay.
And you said it probably doesn't matter because you're a damn robot. That's what you said, which I don't disagree with.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yep.
Yeah.
That did happen.
So, but I bring that up. I'm sure you said it lovingly somehow. Me being a robot, I don't give a shit. But I bring that up because most of the time I'm analytical, sit back, but there's something about these trades and what's gone down that's pissed me off and fired me up a little bit more than normal on transactions, right? But it's obviously hit the team somewhat. I saw Andy Larson, tweeting out or putting on X that he hasn't ever seen the locker room that dejected before, and there's some stuff going. It's really upended the rhythm, the mojo, the personality of the team much more than just making a transaction on paper. Yeah. And sometimes that happens.
I agree. And here's the thing is that's on and off the court stuff, right? And that's real. That's real with a team, and that's real with the locker room and how teams play together. That was our biggest concern with losing a guy like Olynyk, who off the court is a fantastic guy and loved by his teammates. Another one was Agbaji. Agbaji was loved by his teammates, consistently talked about how great he was as a teammate in the locker room, all of that stuff. He's a guy that every time I went to a game, he was always with Markkanen doing warm-ups and things like that and joking with each other. These are things that are concerning when you're talking about your star player. So you get the off-the-court stuff. So now he's frustrated. But then you turn around and have games where he takes 0, maybe 1 freaking shot in the entire third quarter, and then finally gets a bucket in the fourth quarter, a few minutes in and stuff like that. Finally gets a good look and a clean look and everything like that. And so you add that off the court stuff, then with the on the court stuff of some of the guys that he's playing with and just kind of being more of a space the floor guy when he's now shown everyone knows he's the star. Most people know he's the star on the team and the number one option, right? These are things that are concerning and concern me as a fan with what is going to happen in this offseason with several of the players on this team.
And I've heard in some interviews Jazz writers talking about, it's pretty obvious that we're, looking for a run in the 2028-29 range. And I'm like, oh, that seems pretty lengthy. That's
a 6-year rebuild.
And for some teams, I understand that it's
7-year rebuild
taken that long, but my goodness, that wasn't what
was supposed
it was
to
looking
happen.
like. It wasn't looking like what the trajectory was. So it's interesting. I understand we're in here new. We're in here in the start of the rebuild, essentially. Last year, we made some strides, traded some people away. Rough early season. Made some strides again, getting some respect. Traded kind of some of the base away. It's interesting. It would be interesting to see some of the difference in the attitude with, not the attitude. I don't think the vets have a bad attitude, but just kind of their perspective on it and what's going. Questioning it is this the right fit for me? Is this timing going to be for me? Is this something that's no longer a fit?
Of course.
Versus the rookies, right? I mean, Keyonte George feels like he's got a future here with the team. He should, young guy. Is this a situation that we have cut the legs out from under Lauri Markkanen? I hope not.
I hope not, man. It's concerning. It is. It's super concerning, and the thing is too is like that this last half of the season should be about Keyonte George, Lauri Markkanen, Taylor Hendricks, Walker Kessler, those guys, Chris Dunn, even. Those guys is what this last half of the season should be about, and I know we're super new into the trade deadline being over and making these adjustments and these changes in the rotation, but so far it's not what it's been about. Let's be real, it's been the Colin Sexton, Jordan Clarkson, and Taylor Horton Tucker show
again.
That's what it's been. That's not good for the team. That's not good for the future of the team. It's just not. The more Lauri Markkanen stands in the corner and doesn't do anything, the more Taylor Hendricks doesn't get any opportunity on the offensive side of the court beyond just standing in the corner and being what Agbaji was for us the first half this season, is not good for the future of the Utah Jazz organization. It's just freaking not. That needs to get figured out. We need to commit to Lauri Markkanen. We thought we'd committed to him as a star, and we need to commit to him as that number one option. Run sets for him, even when he's struggling. Run those sets at the top of the break and let him work through that and things like that and allow that to happen. I think on top of it, he's getting frustrated because the dude can't seem to buy a freaking foul call right now. Didn't help that we played the Los Angeles Lakers. Everyone knows the shit show that is when you're trying to play them at the free throw line. But Markkanen has got to be the most disrespected foul call star in the NBA.
And as a result, he's starting to kind of pass out of moments where he's kind of going into contested moments at the rim.
Yep.
Whereas I think that before he would go in stronger, and it's resulted in some turnovers and some weird situations as he's trying to react to the reffing. I'm not one that usually sits there and blames the refs, but there's a lot of stuff going on out there, a lot of contact that. And it used to be back in the day that even if you weren't sure if it's a foul, if a defender, as they're coming through, winds up and cracks in, you usually call that anyway, right? I mean, that there's something going on if they got to tomahawk chop you. But yeah, that's an issue.
There's a lot of things with Markkanen right now, and so I love seeing him and Keyonte playing together. Mm-hmm. I hate seeing Sexton at the same time because Sexton has reverted all the way back to that dude is allergic to passing the ball. You mentioned he hit a couple nice where he drove and kind of just dumps it off. But beyond that, he had gotten to a point where we went through that winning streak. he had really gotten to a point where he would aggressively drive, draw people in, and swing it, and move the ball, and the ball would just kind of, and it has gone all the way back to dribbles for 20 seconds. Maybe he'll dump it off at the end of the shot clock for a bucket under the hoop, or just throw up some crap. And it's just not a good rhythm for anyone else on the team. And I can see with Markkanen how that can be extremely frustrating.
There was a stretch that we would see 4 or 5 passes like that a quarter. He would just be slinging the ball around, and then all of a sudden he'd come out and he'd hit open jumpers, or then he would go all the way to the hole and finish. And his game was just amazing for that stretch there. It's interesting, the lack of consistency. You can understand there's going to be some changes in players' behavior, but this is crazy. This is like
wild.
Jekyll and Hyde, man. I mean, it's just one side completely to the other. And
I just want to see us freaking start Keyonte George and Chris Dunn together. Gosh, I think that would be such a fun guard lineup, that the ball would move around. Your scorers are Markkanen, Collins, and Keyonte George, and work that the first 5-6 minutes of every single game, of every single third quarter. Start with that. Allow Dunn to teach and work with Keyonte on the court together through that stretch as well. Gosh, I think that'd be such a fun, good lineup to run together. And realistically, we're playing the guys who the future actually means something on this team.
And I would add to that, the first sub out should be Hendricks coming in for Collins.
I would 100% agree.
I would love that.
Like we sub tonight with Hendricks coming in for Collins and letting Hendricks and Kessler and that defensive monster kind of play together.
Yeah.
Yes, no question.
That would be fun. I mean, we just don't have the roster now to have a second unit that has defensive support. So our second unit would come on and freaking go.
At this point, does it matter?
Yeah, I mean,
we're giving up 140 points anyway.
It is what it is. But that first unit and the first couple subs would be fun, right? And we'd be able to figure out some things. Now, we've got one more game tomorrow. I got to say the All-Star break is coming at a great time.
We need it.
We need it big time. We're falling fast, and like we said, we're gonna be retaining the pick this year unless something miraculous happens. So that's what it is. But the All-Star break will be great. Timing for us, see if we can figure out. I think that we'll shore up some things.
Yeah,
we just don't have the horses to be able to get back in and do what we're doing there for a while.
And the big thing is, and the biggest thing for Jazz fans right now is there's going to be a lot of times of just being frustrated with Taylor Hendricks and kind of feeling that of like, shit, can this guy even play? There's going to be moments of that. Will Hardy, Taylor Hendricks, all these guys have openly said that that's going to happen.
Yep.
We need Taylor Hendricks to go through this right now if we want to really see if he can be a star, a starter next to Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler. Because Kessler's got his freaking mojo back and is playing great defensively. And so
his movement is awesome.
Adding that to Taylor Hendricks into that is super important for the growth and the future of the team. So you got to kind of live with that pain. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you guys remember. The start of the year, Keyonte George's numbers were bad. His shooting percentages were horrible. They're not great still, but they're getting better. But the percentages were horrible. He'd make some really good passes, but he'd also make some just horrible decisions where it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's super normal for a young rookie especially, but 20 years old, 19 for Keyonte when that happened, but 20-year-old rookie to come into this kind of situation, there are moments that happens. Taylor Hendricks hasn't had the growth that Keyonte has had. We need to allow that to happen with Taylor Hendricks. So be patient with Taylor Hendricks. This is not the time to fully judge his game and his career path. This is just the time to see him flourish and enjoy those moments and hope that he learns from the bad moments.
It's true. There was a comment on there saying that Hendricks isn't going to be anything more than kind of Ochai Agbaji, and I think that their games are similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I mean, you remember Agbaji last year, G League first half of the year, came on kind of after the trade deadline, got a lot more minutes, fumbled a little bit, kind of found his way, shot a decent percentage the rest of the way through, up until he was ejected for the last game of the season, which is still a puzzling thing. But the ways that they're similar, high percentage 3-point shooter, athletic, length on defense, that really isn't a creative ball handling driver, at this point in their career. We'll see if Hendricks can get that going.
Showed a couple nice plays tonight.
He had a little stretch in the third where he made it, a couple of plays in the key. And in his defense, man, he does some incredible things with some of his length. And when Hashimura was actually on fire, he was one of the couple of times that was able to get up there and disturb him enough that he missed the shots.
Yep.
So there's
super strong rebounder as well.
Man, the way that he snatches the ball, his hands must be enormous. The way that he snags the ball out of the air. I would say that, I'm a big Agbaji fan, but I would say that his game being similar to Agbaji's, he has the chance to be a very high-level role player. I don't think Taylor Hendricks will ever be a creative Jalen Williams type drive you, off the dribble and do all that. But I think that he could be a very nice piece on a championship team that would be a starter. So
and let's be real, if his limit is what we were hoping Agbaji's ceiling was, you apply that to a guy who's 6'9", 6'10", that's pretty good.
And like a 7'1" wingspan,
that's pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, and so there are similarities there that has me excited. But we kind of appreciate some defensive basketball.
Yes.
So I just want to piggyback on what you said. Agree. Be patient with it. Understand the mess ups and stuff like that. Appreciate that. Will Hardy said he understands. How far he has to go. He has the humility, and he will admit it, and that's great. And I love it when he gets subbed off the court. He just kind of he like sprints off the court. If you watch him, he doesn't just walk and high five her like that. He like sprints to his chair, sits down. You can see he's kind of like,
right.
He keeps it in. He's quiet, but you can tell that he knows the work he's got to do, and he's willing to put it in. I like those signs.
Yep.
So be patient with that stuff. He's in the place he needs to be. Sending him back to the G League would mean that we don't care about him at all.
He just needs more minutes. He had like 13 to 14 minutes up until the stretch at the end with just the garbage time. So he can't be our lowest minute rotational player. He just shouldn't be. That doesn't make sense for what growth we want to see out of him.
I'd love to see 20 minutes a game is kind of the mark.
Yeah, I think 20 minutes is
more.
I think 20 minutes is a great line for him for the rest of the season.
And I'd like to see Sensabaugh get 10 to 15.
Yes, I'd like to see Sensabaugh play every single one of Taylor Horton-Tucker's minutes. Every single one of them.
I accept your proposal.
So, got one last game tomorrow, and then an all-star break. Hopefully, team gets a chance to kind of reset and just absorb everything that's happened in the past week with the all-star break, and we'll see what happens at the end of, when we come back with that. We have a huge break. So we play tomorrow. We don't play again until next Thursday. So I think that's going to be great for the team, great for Lauri Markkanen to reset, great for our coaches to kind of understand how they need to go about this. But just freaking let's stop screwing around. Let's let Lauri Markkanen score 25 to 30 points a game like we all know he can. But anyway, keep letting us know how you guys feel about it. It gives us a little bit of, insight on the community.
Comments were great last video.
Yeah, that was awesome. Really seeing, even everyone was very frustrated, rightfully so, and super cool to see and kind of see that going back and forth.
Love that.
Keep that up. But we will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks, guys.